Hey, welcome. This is a new devlog for my tactics RPG. It's been a while since the last one, and I refactored most of the system to improve my workflow, so making new features is more manageable. But in this video, I will be talking about combat animation, and how to get the timing right so that the unit reacts on the right time when the attack landed. If you are new to the channel, I'm making this pixel art tactics RPG with the Godot Engine. There's town exploration, multiple playable characters, and a tactics battle system. And lately, I've been working on the combat animations, and I will share how I set up animations for the battle units, also go a bit into the code, show how they work, and then I will make a new setup animations and show how I add this into the game. So here's the thing that I had to figure out. A unit attacks, and at some point the other unit has to react. The question is when, and if the defender reacts right when the attack starts, they flinch before the weapon has even landed, and it looks off. And if they react when the attack animation finishes, they flinch after the weapon already went through them, which also doesn't look right. What I actually wanted for them was to react at the exact moment the weapon connects. And that's what I was going for. Real quick, just so this makes sense, here is how I structured the battle unit, and it is basically a thin container, and the actual behavior lives in separate child components. So there's component for movement, attacking, health, turn meter, and for the animations. The attacking and combat animator components are the ones that I will be talking about the most. These components read from the unit's data. In Godot, you can make data resources, which are basically reusable asset files, and I have one for each character in the game. It holds pretty much everything about that unit in a single file: its name, stats, and all of its sprite sheets. It's actually split into two parts, one for exploration and one for battle. And the combat animator only cares about the battle part, which is where the combat sprites live. The combat animator component has the setup animations button, and what it does is it runs a function in the editor instead of at runtime. So this one runs my setup animations function, which goes through each sprite sheet, slices it into the 4 directions, builds all the combat animations, and adds that method track on that landed frame that I set. When the animation reaches that certain frame, it calls this method that fires a signal called attack landed. The value of that frame time here is the one that will tell at which point in time of the attack animation did the attack landed frame is shown. And the cool thing about this is that the contact frame is not hard-coded. It is set per weapon in the unit's data, so a quick sword can connect early, and a slow heavy axe can connect later. The component that actually reacts to the attack landed signal is the attacker component. This is the component that kicks off the attack in the first place, so when it does, it starts listening to that attack landed signal. So the moment the signal fires, the attacker component runs this function that tells the defender to react. The only question in there is whether the defender is facing the attacker, because if they are facing the attacker and they have a shield, then they can use it to defend or block. But if not, they will just take the hit with a default reaction. To check that, I compare two directions: the direction from the defender toward the attacker, and the direction the defender is currently facing. The battle is isometric, so this almost never matched exactly. So I run both through a helper function that just snaps a direction to the nearest axis. If they snap to the same direction, then the defender is facing the attacker. So that is the idea. Now I will make a new set of animations and add them in so that you can see the whole workflow. So I will draw 3 sprite sheets for this unit. First is the axe attack animation. Then the animation for getting hit without blocking. And lastly is for defending an attack. And each one has the 4 directions in it. So now I imported these 3 new spreadsheets for this unit. The axe attack, the default attack, and the shield block. So what I'll do now is to use these new spreadsheets into the unit's data. So in this battle unit data, there is a group called combat, and this is where I will insert the new animations for this battle unit. So for the axe attack, I will use this animation. So these are the default frame durations, and let's say I want the last 2 frames to take longer. So I'll just put a higher value for those 2 frames. And this is where I set which frame will make the defender react. And you might be wondering why this is an array, and that is because there may be future animations that have multiple landed frames. So let's say I want the defender to react at the 3rd frame or the last frame. Since this starts at index 0, I will put 3 here. Then for the default attack, I will use these sprite sheets, and then I'll just keep the default for the frame durations. Then for the shield block animation, I will use these sprite sheets, and also keeping the default for the frame durations. So before I hit the setup animations button, you can see here that there's only these animations at the moment. So when I click this setup animations button, you should now be able to see the new animations that's been generated for this unit. So actually the axe attack animation duration doesn't seem right, so I will just change the values again. So I will reduce the duration of the last 2 frames, then click the setup animations again. So I think that's fine for now. And if we look at the animation player, the axe attack animation takes 1.2 seconds, and at 0.8 seconds, that's where the attack landed signal will fire. So before we try this out, I'm gonna have to update the equipment of this unit. So I will give an axe to this unit. And also equip that. And give a shield to this guy so that he can do the shield block animation. So let's try this out. So in this battle map, there's only one hero at the beginning. There's already cutscenes implemented, and I have to kill one enemy unit first before the other units arrive, including our other hero. So there's our other hero, excited to show up his new animations. Let's just get him near to the enemies so that he will be involved on the combat. So I will move the first hero farther from the enemies so that they will focus to the other hero. So we can see that he uses shield block animation because he is facing the attacker. And let's just wait for him to get attacked from another side. And this time he used the default reaction for getting hit. So let's try to do an attack now with this unit. So we did see that he used the new axe attack animation. So let's try another one with a different angle. So that's it for this video. If you want to follow along with my games development, please consider subscribing to my channel. I try to upload new devlogs about my progress whenever I can. Thanks for watching.